So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item D2, discussion regarding the upcoming vacancy of District 1 alderperson and options for filling the position. I'm sure you've all been contacted by Alderman Tenorio. He will be resigning at the end of October. And we have some options. Cale or Rebecca, I don't know which one he wants to.
You wanna go ahead? 'Cause
Sure.
I'm trying to get this.
Sure. All right, so the resignation has been submitted and it will be effective as of October 31st for Alderperson Tenorio. As a result, the council, the remaining 9 members of the council have an option before them. Would you like to fill that seat or not? So that's the first question that the council will have to make a decision on. And then the second question is, do you want to go until the end of this term and then have the general election just play out? Or do you want to do a special election? Typically, in cases like this, what I've seen is the council will generally want to balance the interests of the district with the interests of efficiency. And by doing so, most councils will choose to fill that seat with an appointed member to fill out the remainder of the term and then rely on the next general election to fill that seat through the normal means. So if there's any questions on that process or how that would work or any discussion, happy to take that.
Mr. Chair.
Alderman
Yeah, of
Kennedy.
course, being my district, in all fairness, in the past, probably had a different thought, But at this time, really, I feel that, to fill a vacancy and appoint that, we did with Marty, which was great, years back.
Well, that's a cautionary tale.
I know, I'm just, but at this time, really, I feel strong. That's my opinion, my feeling, that we should keep the seat vacant until the regular election, 2004. That's my opinion.
Mr. Chair?
24, you mean.
Why, Vince?
24, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, no, I'd like to follow up with Vince. Vince, why? You said your opinion, we should keep it vacant. Why should we keep it vacant?
Well, we should keep vacant based on the fact, before, I did experience certain things and I feel now different, to me, I think the job should be elected, not appointed. So, I know it'd be just one, the seat is gonna be vacant, until, then again, my feeling or my opinion, until 2024, but that's how I feel. So that's up to the council,
Thank you.
I believe that there's enough time right now that if the council so choose, they could have an election in spring of 2023, correct?
Legally, yes.
Okay. Legally, yes.
Yeah, there's a deadline, I believe February 1 is the hard deadline for having everything all online. There should be enough publication requirements to get before the primary, which would be likely February 20th or whatever the third Tuesday is. So technically, it's possible.
Or you could hold it till, is there one in April
Yeah, so
election, or you
the
could wait
the
till?
February 1 is the cutoff for the April.
Yeah, for
of
the April
23.
election, okay. Vince, from my opinion, I disagree with you. Historically, we've always acted expeditiously to get someone on the council in fairness to the people of the district. Not only have we appointed Alderman Weigel in the past, we've appointed former Alderman Eutenmeyer.
Kurt Copland before me.
Kurt Copland. So there's been, it's happened over the years a number of times. And I think that in fairness to the people in the first district, they deserve representation on the committees that Angelito was on. And so, I just think that we should proceed with going through the process of appointing someone to fill the term, or alternately, having it an election. And I just don't see somebody spending a lot of money for getting elected in a one-year term. I think it's, I know you did, Tracy, I know that. I don't think it's fair for someone to be put in that position. I think I'd rather see someone appointed to fill out the term and get a year and a half or a year's experience, because I quite frankly think there's gonna be some other vacancies on the council after the next election. I don't anticipate running again. I don't know if Alderman Vitale anticipates running again. But I think there's several of us that are probably not gonna be on the council. And I think it'd be good to have someone get some experience on the council so that, the rest of you aren't stuck with all newbies.
Mr. Chair? I agree. I think that someone should be appointed until the next council, election. And I would just request that the person who came in second be reached out to, because I feel that the people somewhat have spoken, that they might have been in support of them. Whether that individual is still interested or not is one thing, but I just believe that the person who came in behind Vince,
And then
yeah,
you know,
third really, yeah, should be reached out to, because if Angelita wouldn't have run, that person very well could have taken it. We don't know, it's speculations, but I would just think that it would be the right thing to do.
Mr. Chair? Yeah, I also agree with you as far as filling the vacancy. And I'm very vocal on Facebook, very present. And oftentimes, I get calls actually from District One, where people say they're trying to get a hold of their alderperson in District One, and to no avail, don't get a phone call back. And that's with representation right now. So I think it really would serve the constituents properly to fill that vacancy. Whether it be appointed or election, I think the appointment would make more sense.
Anyone else have any comments on that?
Yeah, I have a comment, an older person, Christian.
Let me-
How-
excuse me,
how-
Alderman Vitale,
what-
excuse me,
Yes.
Alderman Stefanski has been.
Oh, go
I
ahead,
just
go
have a
ahead.
quick question. If we did an election in spring, because it's a school board election, would it cost us any additional money to do it?
Possibly,
It would,
because we might have to have a primary.
I got you.
Ooh, yeah, if enough people applied.
if more than two.
I doubt that, but you never know.
If 3 people applied, there'd be a primary? Do I understand that correctly?
If more than two, so if three or more would apply, there'd be a primary.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Alderman Vitale?
Yeah, my question is an older person, Christian. You know, myself, really, I never got many calls from the outside my district. But the fact is that I could attest that every emails and phone call that I receive with myself,
Directed at you.
I mean,
It absolutely wasn't directed at you. I know that you return your calls.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm speaking of people who have reached out to me, because I'm present on Facebook
Okay.
often. And because of that, I think people just interact that way socially and otherwise.
Sure, that's
So when
fine.
they ask questions, they wanna know who their alder is, things like that.
Yes.
Sometimes they come that route.
Sure,
And of
that's
course,
fine.
I
It's
would
nothing-
bring them
that's
right
fine,
back to
sure.
your district or any
Yes.
respective alder. So I'm not aldering at large, but what I hear feedback at that is
I just
when
thought I said,
Angelita
geez.
was trying to be contacted, either the voicemail
I'm not
was
that
full
bad
or he
representative,
just
that's what I
returned
thought,
calls.
you know, that's what I thought. I said, "Geez, I'm not that bad.
Comments?
I agree
Dan,
with you,
any
Tom.
comments?
I'm gonna point till 24.
Yeah, I appoint till 24. I think it's, I would just add that it's unfair.
I'll
to-
go along with that too, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
There's two ways of looking at it, as our city attorney has indicated. If you recall, several years ago, when Alderman Singstock retired, Singstock, and I bring up Alderman Singstock because he has been with
His predecessor.
District 5 many, many, many years. At that time, the mayor spoke with me regarding this situation to get my feedback, and I said I thought perhaps I could handle it. With his help, we handled it. It took a while. It was abrupt that he resigned. It took everyone by surprise, but we saved the city money. We saved the city money, and actually the obligations were fulfilled. Even though he was council president at that time, we filled the position basically at the next election, the April election, when we had several candidates come out.
Now, Okay,
I won by
wanna
8
ask-
votes.
I want to ask you a question. When
I'm not
Alderman
through
Sengstock
talking.
resigned,
I'm not through talking, Tom.
I'm sorry, I want to ask a question
Okay.
about what you're saying. If it's more than 2 years, does that make a difference with state law as far as if it has to be an election or an appointment? Because this was less than halfway through the term.
No, in theory, someone could resign the first month of their candidacy, and you could either choose to fill it for the remainder of the term or leave it vacant.
Okay,
If you recall, Alderman Singstock only had a year to go. The same,
no, he had
the
2
same.
years.
It was 2 years.
It was 2 years. It was
Oh, it
over
was 2 years?
Right.
Okay, I
That's why I
stand
asked, that's why I
corrected.
asked the question.
All right, thank you. But as I indicated, it can be done. Can be done, and I think Alderman Vitale can handle it. I really do. He's always been very responsive to his constituents, and he's always done a nice job. And again, with the mayor's help, and he was very instrumental in helping when I needed help. But we did it, and it turned out okay. So you might consider it, because we had done it before. If you recall, the second district also, this happened. We interviewed, I think, at least 7 candidates. It was lengthy, cumbersome, and it was difficult to choose these candidates. They were all very good. But it was filled at that time, and it worked out as well. So there's decisions to be made here, but I do think that Alderman Vitale can handle it.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel?
I move that we go with appointing somebody to fill out Alderperson Tenorial's current term until the regular aldermanic election in spring of 2024.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
But Kale had something he wanted to say.
So this is a discussion item.
So it's not
And so you don't really necessarily need to have a motion out of today, but what the council would have to do is someone to reach out to myself or Rebecca and ask to put something on the
Yeah,
agenda.
but we're trying to get a consensus.
Yeah.
Sure, sure. I don't know if it was a formal motion or not, but
Yeah,
it's,
it's a consensus. To get something on the floor so we can get a vote on it. There's no further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. No.
No,
Okay, it's 7-2. The ayes have it. So, I would ask that staff prepare, a request for applications for the office like we've done in the past and take it from there. Next item on the agenda is discussion regarding the Common Council Standing Committee structure, responsibilities, and membership.
Almost there.
You want us to move on to the next one?
If you wanna do the calendar,
Yeah.
Gail can probably
Sure.
start talking about it, and then I'll pull
Okay,
it
we'll go to
up.
item 4, discussion relating to the scheduling of council meetings and the 2023 calendar.
Mr. Chair. So this is coming for the council because every year the council sets its calendar for the subsequent year. So for 2023, we're in that process of figuring out when meetings are going to be. There are, of course, holidays and things to dodge and the general way we've done in the past. However, in this time, we'd like to present the council with another option. And that is taking the total number of meetings that the council has and reducing those. I've drafted an option in which there were 13 scheduled meetings in 2023. However, the council has essentially a blank slate to work on. There's only one requirement that the council meets. The state law says the council meets once a month. However, it allows you to meet more frequently, and in the past, West Allis has done that. But over the last couple of years, COVID pushed a lot of things onto the table to be looked at closer. And now we have done this thing called a consent agenda, which has really resulted in efficiencies for the council. On top of that, there is this idea that with every council meeting, all the department heads work a lot with staff to prepare for each council meeting. And so in the efforts of being more efficient on a staff time basis, the fewer council meetings there are, the more efficient we are as staff, because we then can focus our prep time only for each meeting as opposed to, if it's only 13 times as opposed to 22 times. And then the other thing is, for, what this would do is concentrate items on agendas, including public hearings. However, in researching public hearings, there really isn't a requirement to do these thorough, robust public hearings that we have done in the past. What it really is a chance for the public to come and speak on an item. So on certain topics where there is no public that cares to speak on a topic, those hearings can be truncated to a single slide on a page and just answer questions that the council might have. So with all those things combined, I just wanted to make sure that the council had this option available and to hear what you were thinking. By reducing the number of meetings to, I would estimate, it can't be fewer than 12, but it could be anywhere around that number. And essentially focusing on getting things on the consent agenda, shortening the public hearings, and then, if necessary, holding more separate committee meetings to handle the work outside of the council night.
Attorney Decker, I know Rebecca has an alternate calendar as well, which
I
is,
swear I logged in at 4:30.
that is 18 meetings, similar to the ones we have now. I think it eliminates the one meeting in February and April that are, conflicting with the elections to make it easier for staff there. And it eliminates,
makes sense,
a
okay.
meeting in December, but it keeps basically 2 meetings a month. The reason we have recess meetings, for those of you who haven't been here as long as some of us, is that we were trying to help businesses and citizens get their permits and licenses in an expedited fashion. So rather, what used to happen is, it would be introduced to the council tonight, there would be no recess meetings, it would be referred to a committee meeting later in the month. That committee would meet and report it back to the council at the next meeting. Now we can have it introduced tonight, act on it tonight, and it's done in one shot. I think we're doing our businesses and citizens a disservice if we lengthen the time that we have between meetings. Businesses maybe can't open as fast as they want to open. And quite frankly, there's been many times over the years, and I know even with the newer members of the council, where we've had emergency items come up that we want to act on in one night and do it quickly, and really don't want to wait 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks for the next meeting. So I prefer not having 18 meetings either. I'd rather have 13. But I think in service to the citizens, I think we should stick with the proposal that I've seen from Rebecca, that is 18 meetings, and do it in that fashion.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
I guess it comes down to how we look at our calendars. I think in the past, a lot of us maybe use day timers, paper calendars, or even you just knew, first and third Tuesday, I got a council meeting. I think, I'm gonna guess most of us have moved to Outlook calendar, or whether you Google or whatever you're gonna use, an electronic calendar that's with you everywhere all the time. Or we're still talking about the same day of the week essentially? I mean, I like,
Yeah,
'cause
Tuesdays, right, Rebecca? I think almost all these are
But,
Tuesdays.
yeah, the majority of those, they are.
I'm looking on here, I don't see any that aren't on a Tuesday. Just if you skip some Tuesdays,
Right.
and I think in a couple of months, it might be on the second Tuesday rather than the first and third.
Well, that's where we have like CDA though. No, that's Wednesday.
Well, you have it on, no, you have it on
Tuesday, that's
But
Tuesday.
you can move the CDA
Yeah.
meeting too.
Gotta talk to the city administrator about that.
So, I mean, it's up to you people, how you think we should operate.
I like your idea, Tom.
I like 18 also.
Yeah,
It's
I
a big-
think
it's not as big a jump.
Yeah, yeah. And it still gives us an opportunity to still have that interaction with our department heads, to still be available to constituents. I think that's valuable.
Mr. Chair, the only difference I've noticed with the License and Health Committee meeting, sometimes if we have a schedule, which means a schedule of, say, 15 applicants, and sometimes there's some discussions incur with that. So sometimes I feel we should have a special meeting for the specific issue, you know? I mean, not just hold everybody hostage for an hour, you know, I mean, until we go back to session. I mean, that's my, I call them hostages, you know? I don't wanna, my rest of my council colleague, I don't want you guys wait for the license and health, so I don't know if it's,
Mr.
that's,
Chair?
yes.
I agree with you on that. You know, it's a big agenda. I do feel that they should be, there should be some earlier meetings to start, like you said, instead of people waiting. So this would be the potential,
Got it up now. Oh.
Yeah,
so why would you have November 7th and 14th?
So we have to have a public hearing for the budget, and then we have to adopt it. If you
Gotta
have it
adopt
on
the
the
budget.
21st, it's too close. It's hard for the treasurer's office
Right.
to get
If you
everything.
have changes and
Yep.
items like that.
It could be a very short meeting.
All right, the
Yeah.
blue dates
These are
are,
the council dates.
what are the yellow
The yellow are holidays.
holidays, okay.
And the Grays elections.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And then the grayed out is state fair, and then have the,
School.
It's
school
blacked out.
district.
So some months will only have one meeting, it looks like.
Yes.
Aren't we gonna have a problem on November 7th? Isn't that an election day as well?
Not next year.
It's not?
No, not next year.
We don't have anything.
This
in
year
the
we
fall?
had-
We don't have anything in the fall next year?
No.
Okay.
Second Tuesday.
Not in odd years.
Yeah, I like that.
I do too.
Move approval.
Second.
What's our time frame on adopting this, if we wanna kinda digest it a little bit?
Well, it'll be before the committee next, or the council next time, so you
Okay.
can, if you
Good.
have, I'll
Propose
send it
this
to
one
you.
and we can amend
Yeah.
it in committee or something. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just that it's helpful for us to get
sure.
started.
Right.
Will you print it out for us, please?
I'll send it to you. If you
Thank
really
you.
need me to print it, I will.
Okay, next we'll go back to item 3, discussion regarding common council standing committee structure, responsibilities, and membership. Rebecca.
Sure, I've been working with Kale the last few days. I was contacted by a few people about taking the opportunity since Alderman Tenorio is leaving to look at maybe the structures of the committees and things like that, and we haven't really adjusted anything for quite some time, and we've made changes to responsibilities for departments and switched up some things, so it was just a good opportunity to look at things and maybe streamline, make them more efficient for the departments, for our constituents, and for the council. So, came up with
Oh, come on.
option for having 4 standing committees instead of the 5 that we currently do. And I'm just gonna go through and show you the slides of what we were thinking. This is just a starting point, obviously, for discussion. So I'll show you the 4. So the administration committee, similar to the administration and finance committee, dealing with the budgeting, things like that. And then it's also deals with everything relating to those departments, the assessor, treasurer, communications, HR, finance department, and the library. And then those boards, committees, and commissions. So similar to what it is at this point, except I think removing the police and fire department from there. The second one is the Public Works Committee, similar to what it is. I know last time we talked, or last month, we talked about moving the traffic to the Public Works, so that would include that, but basically anything that has to do with engineering department and Public Works would go to the Public Works Committee, so not that big of a change. The third one is the Economic Development Committee. This is where it's somewhat different. This has to do with people wanting to open businesses and things in the city, so a lot with economic development and planning and zoning. Also with people wanting to open different types of businesses in the city, if they need a license related to the economic development, that would go to this committee. And then Public Safety Committee, so this would be all the other licenses that aren't related to developments that, like, the city clerk's office doesn't do, that would involve the police and fire departments, code enforcement, the health department, and then all those boards, committees, and commissions. So just a little realignment of the way things are structured, and if there's anything related to legislation for a specific department or subject, it would go to the corresponding committee. Same with appointments, boards, committees, and commissions, it would go to the specific, committee. Department head appointments, it would go to the specific committee. So, this is just a starting point, so that's just a real quick overview.
Where would, Mr. Chair, where would the, like, liquor licenses and bartender
Economic,
application economic?
So
Because
the
it's issued by the
business-
city clerk?
right.
No, go ahead.
The business licenses would go to the economic development, because they have to do with the development. But an operator license, a bartender license, that would go to public safety, because it has to do with public safety and the service of alcohol.
And where would the appointees go?
It depends on what they're being appointed for.
Right.
If it was, say, if it was the historical commission, it would go to the public safety. If it was the police and fire commission, or if it's the CDBG grant committee, then it would go to the economic development committee.
But we have many committees, and they're not listed on there.
Well, I don't know if we have each and every single one of them, but we would divvy them up according to the topic that most of us as departments have committees we liaison with. So if we didn't have that listed, it would go to the committee that the department liaison with. So, but we can make sure that we list everything if we need to.
And that would be reappointment of all of us, right? Are we looking at, have this take effect,
Yeah, the
like with the fact that Angelito's
Right.
leaving, we're
The
changing
mayor
things
would
up?
have the opportunity to assign each member of the council to new committees. Because we'd be eliminating some committees.
Yeah.
New chairs, new committees, everything.
Chair. And so the idea is to have these 4 committees, maybe the similar idea of having each member serve on 2 committees, in the same way as there is right now. And then the other, like, a good example is the purchasing and conveying of city property. One could argue that's an economic development concept, but you could also argue it's a public works concept because it's city property when it's owned. So those are the kinds of things that the council will have to decide if this is an interesting idea to the council, where you'd want those things to end up. We've put them in categories as a starting point, and we would just take any feedback you have between now and whenever the council would want to present this, if there's any members who wish to do so.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
So currently, 5 districts, 2 alders per district, 5 committees. Would we have some people be on, would some committees have 2 aldermen on it?
The only thing that would be different is everyone wouldn't be a committee chair or vice chair.
Oh, there's only 4 chairs and 4 vice chairs, that's the only difference. Okay. And to your point you just made, we do joint referrals all the time, you know, so we'd still have some occasional joint referrals. And so if I understand the staff that's liaising with each committee, you wouldn't, so if we were having concurrent committees, would say the clerk's office only be liaising with one of the, half of the committees, no, right?
We'd have to work it out as staff, but like Richard helps me out and he goes to administration and
Yeah,
finance
yeah.
all the time, so.
Mr. Chair, in this version, there are a couple departments like city administration, city attorney, that aren't assigned to a specific committee because we bounce around a lot. But principally, this would be the committee that would take all those. Administration committee would likely be the one that those departments would liaise with for appointments and things like that.
And Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
I guess I'm not familiar enough with what I ask this question all the time, what do our neighbors do, you know? Do most people do 4 committees, 5 committees? Some cities might have 12 committees, I bet, you know, it might just be depending on whether they have 10 alders
4
or
or 5.
25
Yeah,
alders?
4 or 5, I was looking around because I wanted to see some different models, and it seems like a lot of them have 4.
Of our size.
Yeah, the larger cities obviously have.
And I'm just gonna make the point, in my 20-something years on the council, that the job's really evolved a lot, and it's a lot to do with the technology of it, and it's become less of a resident and citizen support and more of a policy thing. So, and clearly the ways to communicate have certainly streamlined. You know, we don't have to write often, we don't have to write actual physical letters, you know, so I think the current structure we've had it for my tenure on the council, and I'm really glad that we're looking at things, the world's changed, you know, and let's look at how we can streamline things and make things more efficient. So I'm really glad we're looking at this. I guess I haven't made up my mind on it yet, but, because it's our first time really seeing it, my first time at least, so.
Alderman Weigel, I agree with you. It's been this way since I've been on the council and before my time.
Where's the
It's-
barn cleaning out guy? What-
He was in administration.
Stable master.
He was administering
Yeah,
a fork to the
administration,
pay
yeah.
pile?
Where's the buggy parking?
And I agree with you. It's time to modernize the committees, I think. And I think what we've seen, at least at our council recesses, is some committees are overloaded with items that are time intensive. And I think this splits some of that up a little bit so we can have a more balanced recess meetings. But, you know, maybe there's gotta be some tweaking. I would be in favor of going to a 4-committee structure. Whether it's, you know, exactly the way that is or not, you know, but I'm open to that.
Are we gonna ask about I see a lot of our department heads here and our mayor. Are we looking for input from them yet, or are we just expecting phone calls and emails later?
Well, I'd welcome input from
Yeah,
anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just glad the slides are up.
So are we. And Mr. Chair, again, with the time frame, what would the time frame on something like this? It could happen, this could probably really happen anytime, or are we thinking before, when we're back to 10? Yeah.
All this would require currently is, the only thing that establishes this is the city's internal policies and procedures. That's a resolution that can be adopted by the council at any point in time, and it's effective at that time.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it would be an immediate change.
Sounds good to me.
I like it.
So,
I can share this with you,
Yeah.
and then if there's comments or adjustments that you want.
Well, is the feeling that we want to proceed with something like this?
Yes.
Okay.
But we're gonna do it after we're at full strength, right?
Well, we don't have to.
Beginning of the year, right?
Yeah, we could make it effective January 1st.
Okay.
That's good.
And then when the new council member comes on, they'll fall into whatever committees, you know, are open.
Left.
Yeah. Well,
Kidding.
whatever ones
Kidding.
Alderman Vitale is on.
Stable master they get.
So,
moving forward, all we would need then is an older person to step forward and propose a draft, and we could have that ready for the next council meeting. I also would agree it's a good idea to make it effective on a future date to allow the mayor to decide what appointments to make, and that way there's a nice clean transition with no gap.
I'll work with you and propose it.
Mr. Chair, one more thing. Would we want to perhaps wait until we have
To figure out where they
Alderperson
might-
Tenorio's, yes, to see what our new 10th Alder's strengths are gonna be. So I'm just putting that out there. I'm not saying that we need to delay it necessarily. And the timing on the new Alder, when would we expect them, if we're appointing? When would that, I mean, there's a period where we announce the vacancy, and then there's a period where people have a time to apply, and then there's the vetting and the interviews and all that. So I'm just wondering if the,
You might want to say January 1st is their start date.
I don't see why we can't have it done by the end of the year.
I don't know what
That's-
those,
So,
that might be a little bit aggressive, but I agree.
with the holidays and all that?
We should be on a fast pace and try to get it done as soon as possible.
We can
What do
get
you,
it
what do
out
you,
there, and we're already working with communications to update what we had last time, so as far as the brochure and getting things.
so what would you figure, 3 weeks, of notification for people, or 4 weeks?
could leave it open for a month and
And
then
then,
shortly after the budget, we can start doing the interviews. Or
okay, yeah,
corresponding
And then when's
with
our last meeting in December?
the 12th, I think,
Then we could
or is it?
make the
3rd?
decision by the 12th, then, right?
13th.
yep, 13th, perfect.
We can make the decision by
Yep,
then, right?
should be able to make it by then, they could take effect the first of the year.
Yeah, that makes sense, where, like our 10th alder, we'd like to know what their strengths and,
Yeah, before we go into
We
summer
we
should
have a
school.
know by
better
then,
fit.
yeah,
And then Mayor and I could divide them up
yep,
Yeah.
for the first of the year after we do that.
perfect.
Yeah.
there goes your December, Christmas vacation. I'm looking at them.
Florida's wiped out anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
not that,
Chair, Mr. Chair, Rebecca, where is health in here?
That's under public safety.
Okay. All right,
So license and health is kind of morphed into
okay.
public safety, but only focused on the safety type licenses and things like that.
Okay.
So I can share this, and Kel already did draft something related to this, so I can share that.
Okay, anything else on this subject? If not, we're gonna move on to item 5, deliberating the repair replacement of the Public Works facility.
Mr. Chair, I'd ask if the committee would consider going to closed session for this item and the next item.
Okay. Then for items 5 and 6, which is discussion regarding fire prevention fee, excuse me, for agenda items 5 and 6, the committee of the whole will convene in closed session pursuant to provisions of Wisconsin statute section 19.85, parent 1, parent E, for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties or investing of public funds. Committee of the whole may reconvene in open session after completion of the closed session to consider the agenda, balance of
Motion
the
to go into closed session.
Second.
Alderman Stefanski?
Aye.
Alderwoman
Aye.
Grisham?
Aye.
Alderman Keane?
Aye.
Alderman Ranky?
Aye.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We will call the October 4th meeting of the Common Council to order, and I will ask the clerk to call the roll to determine a quorum.
Alderperson Keen. Here. Lysick.
Here.
Frankie.
Here.
Rote.
Here.
Stefanski.
Here.
Tenorio.
He is excused.
Vitale.
Here,
Weigel. Here. Grisham. Here. Haas.
Here.
9 present, 1 excused.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led this evening by Alderwoman Keene.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Slam dunk. Thank you. Item D, we have no public hearings this evening, so we will move on right to item E, which is citizen participation. This is where the council may receive information from members of the public. We ask that you keep your comments to no longer than 5 minutes, and we limit this portion of the agenda to 30 minutes. Is there anybody that wishes to address the council under citizen participation this evening? All right, seeing none, we will close citizen participation. On item F, I will announce our standing committees will be meeting during recess. They are listed on the bottom of page 1 on this evening's agenda. Going to item G. Microphones going in and out. A couple new business announcements for the mayor's report. Friday of last week, had a new boutique clothing store open on 81st and National called Luliana Marquis, and she makes custom clothing, boutique design, and that's at 81st and National. And then after that, I don't know. Okay, let's try this again. I don't know where I dropped off, but later that Friday, Alderwoman Reinke and I were at 109th and National to welcome Jost Jewelry, which joined Paul's Jewelers, which had been there for quite some time. Jost moved to West Allis from Greenfield and set up shop there with the jewelers. So Jost makes the jewelry and works with Paul's Jewelers, who sells the jewelry. And also on Saturday, the long-awaited opening of the Bread Peddlers on 92nd Street, just south of Greenfield Avenue, opened up. The coffee, bakery, bread, homemade bread, things like that, owned by the Schneider sisters, who a lot of you will know and remember from the bike racing and the toad race on Beecher earlier this year. They apparently, I'm told, sold out of product every day since they've opened, so I want to thank the community for supporting them, and they're working on a bigger mixer already. But I want to welcome all of those businesses to West Allis. That does conclude the mayor's report this evening. Do we have any reports from the alderpersons?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel.
Just a quick update for residents, especially in the 2nd District. The construction has started on the connection, the 72nd Street connection to the Hank Aaron State Trail. It's actually in the city of Milwaukee, but it really is going to serve the West Allis community as another way to get onto the Hank there if you're traveling east or west. So it's not quite done yet. My understanding is that they're having favorable weather and the construction is going very quickly, so it should be very soon. So that's where 72nd Street ends, 2-3 blocks north of Greenfield Avenue up against the Hank. So
Thanks, Alderman Weigel. Any other reports from the alderpersons? Okay.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of the Common Council meeting of September 20th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Looking at item J, we have no standing committee reports this evening, so we will go right to item K.
Mayor Devine, relative to the consent agenda, are there any items that the council would like to act upon separately? If not, I would move for adoption of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. There is no discussion. I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Keen. Aye. Lysick.
Aye.
Reinke.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Vitale.
aye,
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meetings.
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Alderperson Grisham. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are in recess.
Thank you, Alderman Vitale. We'll start with item 24 on tonight's agenda, Resolution 2022-0712. Resolution to approve water tower license agreement with Verizon Wireless for installation of wireless network equipment at 11515 West Rogers Street.
Move to approve?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Alderman Stefanski.
Everybody in the city get free Verizon service then by doing this?
That'd be nice, but,
Right?
No, so there's existing equipment there, their lease is expired, they wanna upgrade their equipment with the modification right now. This is a form that would result in a $35,000 annual license fee, as well as a one-time $15,000 upfront payment to the city.
Nice.
It's adjusted annually at 3% going up. There's a 5-year initial term with 4 5-year terms after that, that could be canceled at any point in time within the 5-year window, but it could be up to a 25-year commitment.
Okay.
we've been Verizon's been a customer of ours since 1996. So on the 116th tower. Special thanks to Kale, Michael Brafka, Karen Rittenhouse for the negotiation of this contract.
Yeah, well done.
Okay, any further discussion? Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned.
Now the License and Health Committee comes in session, so we'll begin with item 26. Excuse me, new Class B tavern license application of 6325 Mitchell LLC DBA 6325 Mitchell 6325 West National Avenue, agent Marla Pointanker LLC 22200. She's here?
Hi.
Okay, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. So based on what I see, I mean, I don't think you have any back records or anything in that respect. You have a clean records,
Yes, sir.
right? So what are you going to do with your establishment?
Yeah, thank you. So, yes, so I'm the owner of Bars and Recreation. We are a family of entertainment brands. Currently, all of our locations are in downtown Milwaukee. So you may have heard of them. Some of the locations are Axe Milwaukee, the axe throwing bar on the east side. North South Club is a full-size deck shuffleboard and also axe throwing in Walker's Point. We also have Nine Below, which is build your own mini golf on the east side as well. It's actually underneath Beans and Barley. We have Splash Studio, which is a painting bar. And then we have Headspace Trivia, which is a virtual online live hosted trivia. And then finally, we're opening, in about 6 weeks, we're opening Amped, which is a karaoke bar. It's going to be in the Brewery District, so just 2 blocks from Fiserv Forum. That's going to be our newest facility. So that's our current family of brands. And at 6325 West National, we are looking to open another extension of that Bars and Recreation facility. So we're excited to expand into the West Allis community. We're looking to bring a similar concept that combines immersive, social, engaging environment with a bar tavern facility. And we are not fully revealing the concept because it is a brand new concept, never been done before in this type of way. But it is very similar to what you're seeing in our current bars and recreation facilities. So it is play, it is for groups. Our public concept will be groups of about 2 to 6 players. They'll be able to reserve online or with our sales team in blocks of 2 to 3 hours. They'll be able to park right with us in our parking lot and then come to their reservation, check in, order food and drinks, play with us for a couple hours, and then hopefully shop at the nearby facilities or dine at the restaurants nearby at the corner there. And the idea is to bring that entertainment destination to the downtown area.
Thank you for your information.
Chair. Oh, I'm sorry.
We welcome you, really, in West Dallas. Any questions from the
Mr.
committee
Chair.
members?
When will we know what this activity is?
Yes, sir.
I mean, it could be dogfighting for all we know. And that would certainly change my mind.
Absolutely. I understand. It's not dogfighting, but I do understand your concern. Well, so currently where we're at with the redevelopment, we have replaced the roof and we are working with LF Green to do the environmental site investigation and what does she call it specifically? I want to say the right word here. Site clearance. So that means removing, there are some underground storage tanks in that building that need to be removed. Once that is all clear, then we will know for sure that that site is going to be available for us to redevelop into this specific concept. And at that point, then we'll be able to move forward with the marketing for the concept.
Please, Kale. Oh, I'm not the chairman, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Sure, so this is a little bit unique in that we have an applicant coming to us that doesn't have necessarily the ability to disclose exactly what's happening. However, it is certainly very valuable and important for the applicant to secure a license now before making any further investments. This is sort of in conjunction with what we were talking about before, in that who goes first. So because the license itself is valuable and encourages further development, One suggestion could be that the committee could approve the license tonight, but put a condition upon it that essentially the applicant has to come back to the committee to get the condition lifted, that they can be allowed to operate under that license. But at least they have license in hand, and assuming the proposal's not dogfighting, like, the assumption would be that there would be no reason to not continue that license. There are rules talking about not operating under a license for 30 days. That license becomes revocable, but is not automatically revoked. So you could issue the license, and if the project languishes for 2 years, you could revoke the license at that point for non-operation, but it gives the developer a chance to have the license in hand and put that investment into business with that confidence.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
Yes, Alderman Rowe.
but what if it is dog fighting?
At that point in time, you would not lift the condition on the license, and they would not be able to operate.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Minisky.
would we be able to go into closed session and find out what it is?
We haven't published for closed session as of tonight, so not tonight, no.
Okay.
I'd have to look back at the statutes to see if a closed session topic would apply to this. I can't think of one now.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Alderman Christian.
I have to say, I'm personally very excited about this business coming to West Allis, and the reveal probably will be grand. So, with that being said, I am in full support of the issuance of this.
Thank
So
you.
I just want to thank you for coming and giving your presentation. I think we can trust in knowing that Bars and Recreation has such successful businesses elsewhere, that we actually are pretty fortunate that you're coming to West Allis, and I'm sure that will be a welcome addition to 6 Points. So
I
thank
appreciate
you.
your support and
Any
your
further
confidence. Thank you.
questions from the committee members?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
clarification, basically then, if we granted her the license this evening, and then when we find out basically what this bar is going to do and we don't approve it, we can take away that license? Is that how I understand it?
So the condition you place upon the license is that the person cannot sell any alcohol. So what you would end up doing then is they could still continue to operate, they just couldn't sell alcohol. It wouldn't shut the business down. And you wouldn't necessarily have a basis to revoke the license. It would just be at that point worthless.
I see, okay.
So, I have to also just bring it up, the idea is that part of this process, you do get to evaluate the quality of the applicant. You don't have to ignore that fact. If it was a new person who had not had any prior operating experience, at that point I would suggest placing a condition like this on the licensee. In this case, given the experience of the particular applicant, which you can consider, there's nothing requiring that you put a condition on the license. You could just issue without a condition. So I want to make sure it's clear that you don't need to assume the words unless you think that's a realistic possibility.
I am happy to share a little bit more about myself and my background if anybody has questions about that, or my team as well, if that would be helpful.
Is what you plan affect the health and safety of any of your customers?
No, ma'am. So we have been operating axe throwing facilities, especially. That's probably the one that has over the years has had the most concern for safety. So we opened Axe Milwaukee in 2018. So we've been operating that facility for 4 years with a full Class B tavern license. We have never had any incidents. We opened North-South Club in 2019, so just prior to COVID. We've also never had any incidents there. We did have a lot of people, and we still have a lot of people who say, I can't believe you combine axe throwing and alcohol. How do you possibly operate that safely? But I can tell you that we have an incredible amount of training that we require from our employees. All of our employees in our operations team are required to complete a responsible server training course in order to be a bartender with us. All of our employees have multiple days of training with our director of experiences as well as our food and beverage manager. They are required to complete pour tests. They are required to wear wristbands if they are under 21 and working behind the bar, not allowed to be serving. Customers are required to check in, get a hand stamp, get a wristband, sign a waiver. We have multiple fail-safes, not just because it's my reputation and my company on the line in terms of axe throwing and alcohol, but frankly, because it's the safety of my team and my customers that I put on the line every single day when I operate these businesses. And so it is imperative that we are top of the line in terms of safety, professionalism, and the way that we operate. And so we take that very, very seriously, and we talk about it every day, and we seek to continuously improve our processes and procedures.
I appreciate that you have expanded a little bit on the explanation,
Absolutely.
the operation, even though you don't want to.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, you absolutely deserve as much information as you need to make your decision. I'll also just add as a footnote that I've been operating in this capacity as the owner of this business for over 10 years now. So we opened, Splash Studio was the first facility. We opened that in 2012. That was in downtown Milwaukee. That was our first location. So we've been doing this for more than 10 years. And I have, previously to that, I got my MBA from Madison, specializing in arts administration, nonprofit management. So I worked at Overture Center for the Arts and marketing and event planning before that. So that's sort of, and my husband actually also has an MBA from Madison, and he worked for Miller Coors and worked in supply chain management. So that was sort of the genesis for art and beer that created Splash Studio. But all of that has led us to this place of creating these facilities that encourage adults to play and have fun and have shared memories and social experiences. COVID wants us to stay apart, but we're trying to bring people together, and that's sort of the goal of this operation and this business in general.
Well, it's exciting.
Are you
It
done?
really is exciting concept.
Thank you.
Previous to you coming, we had a business that came before us that wanted to do the same thing, but they obviously, they changed their mind and moved on.
I see.
Yes.
Well, we're
However,
committed to this. We're in it for the long haul.
Is there going to be a time element to this business?
In terms of when we're
Or,
opening?
The project that you have suggested that you're going to use, is, after a certain time, will it, how can I explain it? Are there certain hours where you're going to have it?
Certain hours that will be open? Is that what you mean?
No, that you're going to have this take place?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I totally understand the question.
Are you gonna have the activity the whole time you're open?
Open and
Right,
closing,
yes,
right? That's your
yes.
question, right?
Or say after 12 o'clock, you wouldn't have this anymore?
I see.
That's-
So, yes, ma'am. So currently, all of our facilities close at midnight. None of our bars are open past midnight. Everything closes at midnight on the weekends and at 11 p.m. on weeknights.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
So, Bez, Marla, what you really, you have a, a great background, you know, for what you said about all your business. So to me, you have a ground stone to come into Estella's, really. I mean, I do appreciate that. To me, I mean, give us someone a license for a person or an operator like you, I'm very thrilled about it. Because what you said, you know, what you guys have done, to me, that's a very helpful for me to move forward with the, of course, with the, like our city attorney addressed the fact of some guidelines we can apply on that, right? Until she gets complete with the building and everything else.
If you would like to, you can place a condition on the license, but nothing requires you to do so.
I would make a motion to approve without condition.
Yeah, okay. Any seconds?
Second.
So based on the motion, a second, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The aye have it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice presentation.
All right, now we move on to item 27. new Class B beer / Class C wine license application for Flower Grill and Flame LLC DBA Flower Grill and Flame 8121-8125 West National Avenue, agent Daniel P. Nowak LLC 22203. Come right in. How are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
Good. So, what you telling us? What you really want to do with your business?
Yeah, so so last winter, so during the summer months for Flower Girl, we have the mobile wood-fired oven, so we're mobile during the summertime. So in the winter months, so starting mid-November, we're gonna do our carryout. We're gonna operate similar to what we did last winter, just to kind of keep all of our team employed. So we did sign a lease on the adjoining space next door at 8125 West National. We did go through all the inspections in the process to get approved for occupancy to have seating for 15 people next door. So yeah, we thought it would be, I mean, what goes better with pizza? Then we have ice cream over there as well, but everyone wants a beer with a slice of pizza. So we figured just another way to get people to kind of hang out and kind of just drive that ticket price up in the wintertime, which is a little bit of a slower season for us. So.
Thank you for explaining us what you're doing. Any questions from the committee
Mr.
members?
Chair? I want to thank you for bringing your business to West Allis. I'm seeing that you're having a really great success, and I'm happy to see that you're expanding as well.
Oh, thanks.
Now, as far as the liquor license would be concerned, would an extension of use need to be used as we do what am I thinking? Off premises. So like the railroad park is next door. I know you have events next door. We vacated that alley next door. So would this all be in-house? Would there be events out? You know, obviously you said it's gonna be winter months, but
Sure.
it seems to be a lot of our businesses are operating outside as well. So
Yeah.
are we looking at this license as just being in the premises currently? Correct? There's no added request to this?
That was the plan when I applied for it, because I know that's kind of a different thing once you're kind of like outside in a public space. So that was my understanding applying for it, was just the indoor, just for the 15 seats that we can have
Okay.
for that.
All right.
So, Mr. Chair, the current premises description is the inside of the building only. If there was ever an interest in expanding into the adjacent park, the applicant could make a request for a temporary extension to do so on specific dates.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Go
Go ahead, Alderman.
Quickly, as the alderman of the district there.
Yes.
I'd like to say I support this, obviously. And as far as the question about the premises extension, Yellow Railroad Park really has no neighbors.
Right. Oh, I don't have any issue with it. I think it would actually be a benefit
And I'd
because
also
those
like to-
events are very well attended.
I'd also like to say, I see Flower Girl and Flame out at multiple events around the community, and I think they represent the city very well, and I think it's all part of us, raising up our image, so.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, something we'll keep in mind for next summer for sure, like as the weather dictates, so we could talk about, we've been trying to do one event a month to kind of activate that park space. We've had a lot of good feedback from the neighbors and people who have families who like little bounce houses and things like that, and it's
Absolutely.
been well
Thank
received,
you,
so
Alderman
we'll keep that in
Weigel.
mind.
So we have a motion,
We
second,
can
all in
second it.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck
Thank
to
you,
you.
thank you.
Now we have here, item 28, new Class B tavern license application for Rupina Incorporation, DBA Villa del Rupinas, 7621 West Broadway Road, Agent Maria E. Rupina Karseski, LLC 22204. Hey Maria, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah. I know last time you didn't make it, but you made it tonight, right?
I did.
Okay. So any questions from the committee members? Any questions?
Chair?
Yes.
Can you give us a snapshot of what's going on there?
Yes, I can. For years, as probably people knew, I wanted to do a venue, a hall, and it's ready. We are ready. It can hold 177 people. We're thinking there's a lot of celebration of lives we do, daily. They always ask, where can we come? Where can we go? I believe that the space would be used well. It's been vacant for a long time. We're gonna fix it up. As you can see, we have a roof being put on. We just want to expand Rupina's a little bit. It's a dream I had for a long time.
when you're not having events there, is it gonna be a bar or not
No,
open?
it won't be open. I like the fact of having a venue because, for me, you only spend money when it's open and I like it. I don't want any overhead, so no, it's not gonna be used as a bar.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any
Mr.
further
Chair.
questions?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
been a long time that you've been planning this.
Yes,
And I
yes.
certainly support
Thank
what
you.
you have indicated, and I hope
Thank you very
much
much.
success
Thank-
for you, because I know that this is your heart and soul,
It is, so thank you.
very definitely. So I move to approve.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'll second it.
You second, yes.
Maria, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Have you put the investment in that hall already? Is it up and ready to go?
No, it's not ready to go because I just had the architect. Tomorrow, I believe, I'm gonna be getting the permit.
Okay.
So everything has a process. But this is what I had to do first, because how can I use it as a venue if I can't serve alcohol?
Right.
It's not gonna work.
Right.
So this
you
was
need that
my-
in order to invest the money that you
Correct.
plan to invest. Okay, all right.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So we have an motion and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
See
And just one more question. So when I do these outside little things, can I use it as that too?
Go ahead. Oh,
So I don't have to come back?
Existing permanent class B, there could be a request for specific events outside and extending this premises just for those events.
Very good.
That's how I would prefer to be handled as well.
Thank you, so I don't have to come back every time?
Okay.
But to come back to
You have to come back.
You do.
Okay,
you won't do the whole like issue license, surrender license.
okay, because I do have one coming on October 15th, but I was told, let's do that, so, yeah, there's a lot of things, so can I use it?
I would think that, Rebecca, you, no.
Yes.
You need to have that approved prior to.
Okay, great.
So we'll see you
I'm-
again.
I'm-
Council meeting is the 18th.
Well, I'm told a lot of different things, like, yeah,
Mr. Chair,
what do I do now?
Yes.
are you referring to your Rapina Fest coming up?
Yes, just beer and
That's the
wine,
outdoor parking lot thing that
Yes.
she's talking about.
which I had in July.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that one?
She applied that for that before already.
Yes, I did in July,
Oh, okay.
For the one event though, right?
correct.
You,
Should, somebody wanna call me tomorrow? All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you
very
Maria.
much.
Okay. So now we move on to item 29, 2022 dash 2024 renewal operator license bartender class D operator application from Michael Nichols, bartender 339. Michael? Yeah, I'll give you the courtesy tonight to be here, you know, I mean, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
But based on your records, you know, I mean, is not something really, I'm really pleased about it, you know, really.
Yeah, I understand that.
You know, and I think some of the members, maybe they feel the same way. So any questions from the committee members? Any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
What, with your convictions, what have you had to do?
I was given 12 months probation. I have to do an assessment class just while my probation is going on, and that's a requirement for my probation to end. This is a case from 2019 that was extended through COVID that got pending, and it just opened back up. And that was the only thing that I could do to stay out and be able to, you know, work and be there for my children.
What about the two new convictions for disorderly conduct that we're showing here on our paperwork? So you're just saying there's one?
Yes, no, it was one charge that was just dropped down. If I took the plea deal and pled guilty to what they were saying that happened, it would be dropped to disorderly conduct rather than the higher charge that it was already. So I pled guilty and they dropped it down to disorderly conduct with the conditions that I comply with my probation, which I have been doing for the past 3 months.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, of the person, Christian.
Mr. Nichols, can you explain what that charge is? It says disorderly conduct DV.
DV, that's considered domestic violence. It's anything revolving with a domesticated situation. Family members would,
Okay. And where, are you bartending currently?
yes,
Where at?
Lemansky's
Lemansky.
on 89th and Greenfield.
Familiar, that's my district. And how long have you been bartending there?
About a year and a half.
Okay.
I've been
And have
bartending-
you worked there without incident?
Yeah, I haven't had an incident in the entire time that I've been working there, or the past 4 years that I have been bartending. I have been incident-free.
Okay. And you said you have conditions on the 12 months? The charge that you had? You
Yes.
said 12 months?
Yeah, it's 12 months probation, meaning that I have to see my, my probation officer once a month and do drug tests every time I see her, and just consistently be in contact with her.
Okay, are you allowed to drink at Lemansky's while you're bartending?
No.
Okay. And how long does that probation period go to?
I have been on it for 2 months, so I have 10 months remaining, and I was told by my probation officer that with the way that things have been going, I can get off in 4 months, which she'll cut the time in half, so I won't have to do the entire 12. It'll only be 6 because I've been complying and doing everything that I need to do.
Okay. Considering you've had the amount of contact that you've had with the law, especially I have concerns with the domestic violence and disorderly conduct, because you're responsible for other people
Yeah.
in that bar. You've been there a year and a half with no incidents that I'm aware of. I'm just taking you for your word. But arguably, I'm looking at a pattern of history with your behaviors. What have you done differently? I mean, you have probation right now.
Yeah.
But quite honestly, probation keeps you in line. What are you working on besides that?
I've done multiple classes for like anger management, and it was called Family Services out in Waukesha. I did that as well, and that was a paid class that I took on my own, that I paid for out of pocket. It wasn't required or anything like that. I took it for myself, and I haven't had any incidents since.
Okay.
Like I said, that one was from 2019. It was just there when COVID hit is when my court case was pending, and they reopened it after, and yeah, so it took until now. It was like I said, I was charged with it in 2019, and it took until 3 months ago to finally
So
get the
was that
case.
delayed
Yeah,
until you were
it-
able
yeah,
to?
so-
But in the process, you've been working
So
on yourself?
from 2019 to 2022, I have had no incidences whatsoever.
Okay.
So you work
Thank you
as,
for
It just
answering
took,
my.
it just took 3 to 4 years
Yeah,
to get it
thank you,
all.
Mr. Nichols, for answering my
so you're
questions.
working under supervision right now, right? Behind the bar. You got somebody that holds a license for you right now, right?
He's a renewal.
Yeah, mine is a renewal. I've had mine, I had mine since actually I turned 21. So I've had mine for 4 years, and in the past 3 years, I haven't had anything.
Yeah, based on your conviction, to have a license in West Dallas, to me, it's a privilege, not rights, and it's not your
Correct.
rights.
Correct.
So that's why I strongly feel, I mean, at this time somebody wants to make an emotion of denial,
Chair.
or make a motion of denial. Go ahead.
This is for Kale. This would qualify for habitual criminality, correct? Or is it up to us to?
There isn't a hard definition for
Okay.
habitual law offenders, so good for the committee to determine that. And because this is a renewal, there's not a typical denial for a new license. It'd be, there'd have to be a hearing offered to the applicant to have the license not renewed.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
you
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go
I
ahead.
spoke.
Go ahead.
That's right.
Go ahead, Rosalie.
Basically, I have concerns. It appears, according to your record, that you have a consistent pattern of domestic abuse,
Could I,
disorderly conduct, especially disorderly conduct, battery. I mean, there's a lot of things that
if I could,
aren't conducive to what you've chosen to do.
correct.
what has changed since then? There must have been happenings.
Well, if I could explain something, as far as the habitual charges go, something of the charges that I believe you are speaking of, I was never convicted of the first initial charge. I was expunged of charges. I hired a lawyer, and she proved that what was said did not actually happen, and it didn't go down that way. I didn't serve any jail time.
What charge was this?
This was the original disorderly conduct that you guys,
Okay.
not the one that I am dealing with probation for right now, but the one prior to this, which would make it considered habitual. I was never charged with it. I was not found guilty of it. I did not have probation. I did not have to serve jail time. My lawyer proved that I was expunged of all charges. I was completely expunged, and I believe it was supposed to be taking off within a certain amount of time. But yeah, I was never convicted of it. I was never found guilty. And the 2 disorderly conducts and the battery, those were all tied in. I was charged with battery with a domestic violence enhancer. That's what it's called. And when I pled guilty to it, now it's just got bumped down to disorderly conduct and then a disorderly conduct with a domestic violence enhancer. Once I pled guilty, so it's not separate occasions where it's happened. It was one situation that it was 2 different charges, and then once I pled guilty, they dropped them down to disorderly conducts rather than batteries.
My next question is to Cale.
And like I said, that was from
He said he-
2019. Like I haven't
He
had any
wasn't
police
charged,
contact.
so why is it still on his record then?
I'm looking at it right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Mr. Nichols, looking at the record, I don't feel that those charges are actually substantially related to the activity of bartending. So with that being said, I'll make a motion to approve.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll second it.
All in favor of the motion of approval?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
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 So it's back to discussion.
Yeah, okay, let's go back to discussions.
So how many no's were there?
3.
3.
Oh, 3, okay.
Three.
You and I approved it.
Okay. All right.
Are you looking up the record, please?
So what I can see is there were 2 charges from a filing date 2020. Looking for the present date. Says the offense date was April 9th of 2020. So, do you recall that particular one, February 9th of 2020 incident?
Perhaps that was the one that I was talking about. Instead of it being 2019, it was 2020 instead. Yeah, because those would be that's the only charge that I've ever been charged with. So it has to be that one. I just misconstrued the dates from 2019 to 2020.
In that one, there was a guilty plea for disorderly conduct with a domestic abuse assessment.
Yep, that's.
And there was a battery charge that was dismissed.
Yep, that's this one that I'm doing probation for right now. I pled guilty and to have it dismissed from battery to disorderly conduct.
Under that one, there was a 90-day sentence that was imposed and stayed, which means that if there's a violation of probation, it'd be up to 90 days in jail.
Yes.
Huber privileges, which means that you'd be allowed to be released for work if there's ever a violation of probation.
Yes.
Probation is for 12 months, and it started on 6/22.
Yep.
This year, so it'd be until 6/22 of next year, so on
Yep.
the last. There were several conditions, including 24 hours of community service, DNA sample, continued employment, no contact with a particular person, like with the victim, it's usually what happens. Court would allow for expungement upon successful completion of probation or discharge.
Yes. That's the only charge that I've had.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm going to reiterate that part of our role here is to see, A, have you followed measures to rehabilitate? I think being on probation, meeting the requirements that you are, you can't change the fact that you have 10 months to go on a 12-month sentence of probation. I think with supervision, you're showing that rehabilitation, you've taken initiative to take classes on your own. And this does not substantially relate to the licensing activity, because asking you the question, have you had any incident while bartending at Lemansky's? Your answer was?
No,
Okay. And you have been working there for a year and a half
yes,
with no incident?
yes.
Okay. So that's my discussion point, just to kind of drive that home to the committee, that these are the things we're looking for when we have an applicant come before us. A, did he rehabilitate? And B, does it substantially relate to the licensing activity? I think he's met both requirements.
Thank you, Alderperson Christian.
Mr.
Go
Chair.
ahead.
Gail, the stuff that we've got listed in our notes here, how much of this stuff is actually been charged with?
So there is a different charge from an incident from 2018. I believe that's what the applicant was talking about.
Yes.
That one resulted in a guilty plea on a disorderly conduct, domestic abuse. That one appears to have occurred, that no contest plea happened on April 1st of 2021. And then there was a expunsion is conditionally granted on verification of completion of sentence, payment of all costs, no law violations, while on that 6-month sentence. I can't tell if it was a 6-month probation sentence from back then.
No, it was the 6-month class that I took, the rehabilitation class that I had to complete in order for it to get expunged, which I did, and it was expunged.
And that was the one that you were saying was the proof that the lawyer proved that you didn't do?
Yeah, the lawyer just, it was a no contest, and then if I did this, and this, which was the 6-month class, I had no contact with the law, and I paid all the fees and paid everything off that I needed to, then the judge would grant me expungement, which I did everything that I needed to do, and the judge granted me expungement.
Okay. I'm with Alderwoman Grisham. In my opinion, he's done what he's needed to rehabilitate and is still working on that, and I don't see why he shouldn't be able to continue working.
Alderperson
Mr.
Rankin.
Chair, could you please tell me, is this a full-time job?
Yes, it is. I work 5 days a week, 7 p.m. to close.
I see.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Chair, I have one final question, and this is for Attorney Decker. If we do not come to a decision right now, collectively, where do we go with this?
So the only way this would, because the existing licensee, there has to be an affirmative decision to non-renew at some point in time. So if you can't agree on anything, someone would have to look for a non-renewal action. Otherwise, he'll be able to operate under his current license until that happens, because he's got a due process right for that property interest. So no decision tonight means the license carries on indefinitely. There has to be an affirmative vote to non-renew.
And renew goes till what date?
In theory, it's supposed to have expired. I'm not sure what the time is on this
June
license.
30th, it was expired, right, of 2022?
Yes,
expired the year
yes, I
before.
believe it was June 30th of 2022, and then this was my renewal.
So, in theory, it could go on forever if there's never a majority vote to non-renew. So even if there's not a vote to renew, Kent stays in this limbo mode where he can legally operate under that license, because you can't, by negative action, effectively revoke a license. You have to affirmatively revoke a license.
Whereas if we renew and there is incident or there is a problem with that licensee, we can bring them in if need be, correct?
Correct. So, for example, even if you approve the licensee right now, let's say hypothetically something does not go well while on probation and an incident does occur, at that point in time, you could revoke the license.
Okay.
Okay, Attorney Gail, I have a question. So an motion was already on the table and was 3-2. So the only thing now we have goes to the floor in the council.
Not necessarily. The whole point of the deliberative process here is that the committee can engage in discussion with each other, and if someone wants to change their mind to come to a majority vote, or maybe add a condition or something along those lines, that could result in approval or denial, however the committee wants to go. So just because it failed one time doesn't mean you can't make the exact same motion again after further discussion.
See, the fact that it is that, here, again, to me, I said early, to have a bartender license in West Dallas, it's a privilege. It's not a right. So the fact that is, here, even the issues not related to the license, but the fact that here stands that this man, he has a pattern in his life in 5-6 years. And I understand it for the last year and a half. I mean, he's been working it, he behaves, but the fact stands that he has a record has been going and going on and on. So finally, I mean, he grew up, maybe he got a little wiser. That's why I didn't really knew that he had the license, that he was working behind the bar in West Dallas, which was already been approved before. I mean, and this record here stands from time before he got his license.
Could I?
How can direct this issue here? He had a license already in place with all those charges that he had. Yes, go ahead.
The timeline, I think, is the issue here, that these convictions didn't occur until after his 2-year license was approved back in 2020. And so the council and the committee would have never known about those convictions because they happened during his current license year. And you would not be able to consider something like this, I don't believe, as a arrest record. You need to be a conviction record. So that's why timing was the major issue here, and that's why it's coming before you now. And as far as whether the charges relate, I do have to just advise the committee that it is very important for you to create a record that as to why you believe these convictions relate to this license activity, because just having conviction is not a good enough reason to deny a person license. You have to link that conviction to the licensed activity for some matter. So if there's an interest in denying the applicant or non-renewing, make sure that you explain on the record why you believe the charges relate.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Chair, if,
Mr. Alderman Rhodes been trying to say something for a
Oh,
long
go ahead.
time.
my apologies.
I forgot what I was gonna say. No. My question to you, and you kind of answered, was if it goes to the council, can it end in a tie? I'm not good at math because we're one short tonight.
It can't go to
Theory,
council.
no, it shouldn't unless someone walks out of the room.
Okay.
And, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the earlier convictions have been proven that he didn't do it. So the stuff that you're seeing from earlier on is not habitual because he got cleared of it from the court. So the only one that we're really focusing on is the one that was currently. The other stuff, and I'm understanding that right? It was expunged and he didn't get convicted of it because it was proven innocent.
Looking at the record, I would encourage you to only consider the charge that was recently convicted. That's
Right.
on probation.
And that's why I'm trying to get away from the earlier ones.
Which, Mr. Chair, may I add, that was also
Right.
delayed due to COVID, so this would have probably been rectified and his probation period probably would have been taken care of before he even got here. So with that being said, as I said, there's 2 points. Has he proven he has rehabilitation? Yes, I believe he has. Is it directly related to the licensing activity? No, it is not. So I'm going to make a motion again to approve.
Second.
All in favor of the motion to approve?
Aye.
Oppose?
No.
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 Okay, so, Gail, if I may, now he just gets to have his license indefinitely.
Well, so this item could be taken up by the council tonight and a separate vote could occur
Okay,
to approve or deny.
Yes.
okay.
In fact, at this point, given the fact that there's been enough discussion on this topic and 2 votes of the same number, I'd advise you to just advance this item to the council for a full vote.
Okay, I would like to advance that to the council floor.
Okay.
So you'll be hanging out.
Hanging out in the council for, thank you.
Right.
Ann.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Nichols.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, now we move forward with item 2022-2024, new operator license pertaining to Class D operator application for Ellie Weeks, bartender 348. She's here? I think this is the second time, right?
Yeah, motion for denial.
Second.
All in favor of the motion of denial?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
That would be a motion due to non-appearance.
Yes.
Yes, the second time. Okay. Now we move forward with item 31, 2022-2024 new operator license bartender class D operator application for Stephanie L. Brooker, bartender 348.
Mr. Chair,
She's here?
we received a communication from her that she was not able to attend tonight. She did submit some letters, late, I don't know what time they came in, but letters from folks who she
What time?
expresses this is, expressing that this is for evidence of rehabilitation, so,
Is this her second non-appearance? Okay.
so the idea would be if the council wishes to consider this information and move forward, or if the council wishes to adjourn the matter, or however you'd like to proceed.
I make a motion to deny.
Second.
All in favor of denial?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
That was 31, correct?
Yes,
Thank you.
Due to non-appearance.
Non-appearance and record.
non-appearance, yes.
Thank you.
Then we have a 32, 2022-2024 new operator license, bartender class D operator, application for Jessica Nankin, bartender 356. She's here?
Nope.
No Jessica, eh?
First,
This is first time?
I'll make a motion to hold.
Yeah, we
Second.
can hold it, sure. All in favor of the motion to hold it?
Aye.
Opposed, the aye have it.
Motion to adjourn?
The meeting has been adjourned, a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the aye have it. Good job.
Material as far as their background,
Correct.
so. I'd
Motion to
entertain a
approve.
motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 34, the appointment of Michael Suter to the Community Development Authority.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to
Carried.
adjourn.
Second.
Oh.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Boy, all the person rank is so effective, not like me, I'm
right. Let's get the party started. All right, we'll call the Common Council back to order. I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Keen. Here. Lysick.
Here.
Reinke. Here. Rote.
Here.
Stefanski.
Here.
Tenorio.
Excused.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Grisham. Here. Haas.
Here.
Thank you. All right. Alderman Haas has the night off this evening as chair of the Administration and Finance Committee, so we will go right to the Public Works Committee, and I will ask the clerk to read out that report.
The Public Works Committee recommended adoption of item 24.
Mayor Devine, I move in accordance of the committee report.
Thank you. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Keen.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Reinke. Aye. Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries. We will now go on to the Safety and Development Committee. I'll ask the clerk to read that.
The Safety and Development Committee recommended adoption of item 25.
Mayor Devine, I move for adoption of the committee report.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Any discussion on item 25? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to take the roll.
Alderperson Keen. Aye. Lysick. Aye. Reinke. Aye. Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries. And then we'll move on to License and Health.
We'll be taking items 28 and 29 separately.
Okay.
The License and Health Committee recommended approval of items 26, 27, and denial of items 30 and 31 based on non-appearance in the police record and holding item 32.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the License and Health Report.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the balance? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Now we'll go to item 28.
Mayor Devine?
Yep.
I would like to put into consideration, Maria Rapina was granted, or we approved for her tavern license this evening, although she's having Rapina Fest on the 15th of October, which wouldn't give her enough time to come in unless we gave her a provisional. So I'm requesting that we add the 10/15 date to that license.
Attorney Decker, we have a motion and a second.
So just for the records, clarifying the extension, it'd be an extension of the permanent premises temporarily only for October 15th. If this license is approved, that means the permanent premises would be just the building, but on October 15th, that extension of premises would go into the parking lot as it has in past years.
So we have a motion and a second. Was that an amendment, or is that just voting on the ballot as it is?
So it would be a motion to amend that approval to change the premises for a single day. So a vote in favor right now would amend, and then it would take a secondary vote to actually approve the license.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the amendment. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. It is amended. Do you want to move approval of the as amended? As with the change?
Yes, I would like, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Technically, Mr. Mayor, the chair can move approval of the amended
Okay.
one
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Chairman
make the
Vitale?
approval. Yeah,
Thank you.
you'll make the amendment for approval.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Now we have item 29.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, I'm sorry.
this is a little unusual in that there was no recommendation from the committee on this item, and so there is currently no matter for the council to consider. It would have to be a member of the council that would make a motion at this point to approve or deny this renewal license.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second to approve, and I'm sure if somebody wants to provide the rest of the council with some background because they don't know what's going on.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Vitale.
you know, the fact stands that, sorry, I have a little sore throat, and but the fact stands that I understand many of the incurrence that this gentleman in his life did occur I mean, many of them, they're not related to the license. But the fact is that, you know, if it was just one particular accident, only one, but here we have in front of us a pattern which to me is disturbing. Like I said during the committee meeting, is not it's a privilege to have a license in West Allis, a bartender license. It's not just something that you know, anybody takes that for granted. So the fact is that he went in court, and many the accident did occur. You know, he drove without no insurance, which again is not related to the liquor license. I mean, to the bartender license, but many, and then without driver license. So he had a kind of incurrence, a pattern for a few years, 4, 5, 6 years. It's not just one thing that happened once. It occurred many times. So fine, was not found guilty on many of them. Right now he's on probation, you know, based on the records that we have in front of us. So to me, I mean, anyone that has this type of a pattern, I don't think belongs in West Allis, really, to operate within our city. That's my strong feeling about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderperson Keene?
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, I think I had Alderperson Keene before, or are you? Grisham first? Okay, and then Stefanski.
Just to give the council a little bit of a synopsis, Mr. Nichols is coming for his renewal for his bartender's license. He has one charge that was on his record for disorderly conduct. One was expunged from years back, which really can't be considered. So with that being said, COVID happened. His probation and his sentencing was delayed, as we know, based on what Mr. Nichols had told us. He's currently on probation. He's served 2 months so far. He's taken classes on his own, which he has paid for. I made 2 motions. We had great lengthy discussion on this. The motion that I made was based on the fact that, A, the charge is not directly related to the substantial activity of having a bartender's license, and B, the fact that he had reasonable rehabilitation. When we're looking at approvals within our committee, those are the factors, and this gentleman has met those criteria.
Thank you. Alderman Stefanski?
Ditto. That was, I was gonna go with that in those details, so thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor
Any
Devine?
other comments? Alderman Haas?
Yeah, the one point that I'll add is that's significant for me is that this is a renewal, not a new license, a renewal. That means that the individual has a property right to that license, which he already holds. That's a bit of a higher standard than a new license.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel?
I just wanted a little clarity here. Alderperson Keene mentioned it, but based on what I'm seeing in the notes that the committee had, none of these charges, even the ones that predate the 2020 cutoff, are drunk driving, serving a minor. None of them are alcohol related, and he has since 2020 essentially one conviction, if I understand correctly, for which he was not sentenced to any time. It was just probation. Do I understand this correctly?
Yep.
And that conviction has nothing, it didn't happen in a bar, he wasn't, right? Okay. I just want to understand the basis for the denial, or the lack of support for it.
Mr. Mayor? If I may add.
You may add.
Mr. Nichols has been working at Lemansky's for 1.5 years without incident. So he is currently employed 5 days a week.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just want to make sure the motion was made and seconded already. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the motion is to approve.
Alderperson Keene. Aye. Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
No.
Rote.
No.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Vitale.
No.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
6 in favor, 3 opposed, 1 excused.
Motion carries. Item is approved. And then we will go to the advisory committee.
The advisory committee recommended approval of items 33 and 34.
Thank you. Any discussion on the advisory committee report? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Keen. Aye. Lysick.
Aye.
Reinke.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we adjourn until our next regularly scheduled meeting, Tuesday, October 18th at 7 PM.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. You guys really got to start doling that out somehow. Like, person who led the pledge gets to second the adjournment or something like that. All in favor? Opposed? We're adjourned.